to Remarkable Realities, the podcast where we talk to ordinary people doing remarkable things. My name is Luke.
My name's Tom.
And today we have Tom with us. Tom, you are a friend of mine. We go back many years.
Couple of years, yeah.
The Tom I knew back then isn't the Tom we're speaking to today. You are now a ultra trail runner.
Yeah, something like that, I believe.
Yes. So where did this passion for running come from?
Well, like you said, I was a bit different a few years ago. I was probably down the pub 4 or 5 times a week, smoking 30 a day. I think I got up to about 122 kilos at my heaviest.
Wow.
And
How long ago was that, Tom?
it was about 5-6 years ago.
Oh, wow. So I was thinking 10. 5 years ago, you made a massive change. And that's a really short amount of time, especially as I've just seen. It's off camera at the moment, but that stack of medals you've got next to you.
Yeah.
Can you show us?
It's a bit indulgent.
Yes,
Wow.
yeah.
That does put my one to shame.
So when was your first run?
My first run was with a couple of friends. Around the time the gyms and everything shut for COVID, and I'd just started going to the gym to lose weight, feel better about myself, get rid of smoking, bad habits, drinking, etc. Keep myself busy, and I think it was maybe 3-4 months after I'd started going to the gym, COVID lockdown happened, and yeah.
What was just before we get to your first big run, because most of those medals that we've just seen, they were on bigger runs, weren't they?
Yeah, probably about half and half, I'd say.
What was the moment when you went from 120 kilos, drinking 5 days a week? That's a serious habit. What was the lowest moment? What was the turning point when you went from that guy to someone who is, because running's terrible. It's if it's an exercise, first exercise you get into, it's a pretty bold one to jump into at 120k.
There wasn't a huge amount of options in COVID lockdown of what you could and couldn't do. I just started running occasionally with friends, occasionally with my dog, and it sort of grew from there.
A positive of COVID then.
Yeah. I unfortunately, my dad was diagnosed with a rare and aggressive form of lymphoma, and by the time they discovered it, it was already sort of stage 4, and I decided to do something positive, start running to keep my head clear and not make stupid decisions with drinking. And it gave us something to talk about, because we'd always talk about anything that we were doing with sport. My dad was very passionate about his cycling. He played football when he was younger. He used to run when he was younger. Later years, refereed a lot and coached a lot of youth football. And so we'd always talk about sport, but I hadn't really done anything for about 6 or 7 years when I'd blown my ACL out and just started going down the pub a lot more often.
So you ran a race. I can't remember which one it was. Your first race you ran, raising money for charity.
So it wasn't a race. It was I decided to run from Studland, Knoll Beach to Lulworth Cove along the Jurassic Coast.
Yeah.
As my dad grew up in Lulworth, and it'd be a nice place to finish my marathon.
Yeah.
And I'd done it to raise money for Lymphoma Action in my dad's memory and called it Run for Rob.
Is that still going, Tom? Is it? Did you make it a yearly thing, or?
No, I didn't. But I now just sort of train around that area, and we've now spread his ashes along parts of that route, and yeah, it's favourite
Well,
places
that's
to go
all good.
running.
Yeah. And do you remember how much you raised?
I think it was about £3,500.
Yeah, I remember it being a big number. And
So
Yeah, I
then
think it was just a shock of people. That fat alcoholic smoker couldn't do a marathon, especially one along the Jurassic Coast.
yeah, it's not notoriously flat, is it? The Jurassic Coast,
No,
we'll talk about later. I'm sure.
that's a really good point, though, because I'm a massive believer, and don't worry, it's not a David Goggins quote, Luke. I'm a massive believer that we're all far more capable than we give ourselves credit for. So you were 120k. How old are you now? So
I'm 37 now.
37, early 30s,
Yeah,
overweight, massively over drinking. How
yeah.
long did it take to get from that guy to your first, say, marathon?
Um, I think it was about 7 or 8 months.
That's because they say it takes 6 months to a year to train for a marathon if you're relatively in shape, don't they?
Yeah, I wasn't wildly fit, and I'm still not now, but it yeah, I was improving each run, and
And I'm guessing your dad was quite a big. Did your dad pass away soon after the stage 4 diagnosis?
I think he was ill for about a year, and he passed away in the February, and I think it was the September that I ran. Um,
What was the first one?
the first one, it was one I just did off my own back. It wasn't a race. It was I just ran from Studland Knoll Beach to Larve Cove along the Jurassic Coast.
But the first organized, because it's a big. I mean, I've only just realised it, but arriving with a bunch of people that we just felt out of place, didn't we?
Oh,
And
massively.
that doing
I,
it
I
off your
think
own back,
everyone
there's no time
suffers with a
limits.
bit of imposter syndrome,
Yeah, absolutely.
but there's always people doing their first run, and um, yeah, unless your name's Clean Journey, you're not not at the top of the sport. There's always somebody faster,
Yeah.
better, stronger, more experienced. It's yeah, it's what keeps you coming back
It
from
it's really nice to see because obviously, like I say, we used to hang out. We used to be in the same pubs together most nights.
up most of the time, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
It's nice to see this passion you've got for running, and so you are the inspiration for my ultra this year coming up.
Yeah,
So
so
because I came up in October and marshalled the race, and then I was watching all these people come through, and they were all smiling and happy, and then I was waiting for you and waiting for you, and then you come through, and you just looked really happy. I don't think you're happy to see me.
I was happy to see you. I wasn't happy at the time.
Okay, so you were okay, and then you just went, "I've got cramp," and then I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah,
"Oh."
I was suffering a little bit that day. I think I'd gone out a little bit hard and fast at the
But
start.
you told me you hadn't trained for it
Um,
because you weren't too sure whether you're going to do it or not.
yeah, and I think it was only a month after I'd done another Maverick race ultra in the Lake District,
Hmm.
and I yeah, I don't think I'd given myself enough time to recover properly.
That perfectly leads me into one, throwing Luke under the bus, but two, digging into your greater knowledge of this field. Now, before we got hold of you tonight, he told me that he's probably not going to do it and he's going to pull out. Um, but he wasn't going to tell you. And I just thought, I'm going to tell him. I don't know. I've not ran enough. And probably I would never. I've got no aspirations to do ultra marathons or anything like that. But you want to. You already have. You've probably been where he is now dozens of times at the. Do I need to? I don't know. I don't know if I can be asked. Is what he said. How do you get through that stage?
Just being stubborn.
Yeah.
More than anything.
And you are stubborn. That's part of your personality.
Yeah, I think the Hamilton Hammer
That's knocked you.
absolutely broke.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
And if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about the ultra a little bit later.
Yeah.
And well, you told us off air that you are also running it this year.
Yeah, I should be.
Yeah.
Oh, the Hamilton.
No, the Jurassic, the ultra. Yeah. So
Oh, you're doing the same distance, aren't you? The 50,
yeah,
51K, is it? 53.
52.
50,
Not sure.
close.
Something around there.
Yeah.
There's always a bit of trail tax.
Yeah.
They're always a little longer than they're advertised.
Right.
But yeah, so
you'll be at the start line with a friend.
yeah,
have
but
another
he'll be
friend-
home. He'll be home.
Doesn't matter.
Showered
That's
and
good.
eaten
You've
by
got
the time
someone
I'm
to cheer you.
halfway.
Got someone to cheer you over the line, the
I might be
finish line.
showered because the race starts on a campsite, and so I might have a shower while I'm waiting for you, but I'll still be at the finish line.
Cool.
There's a DJ.
I think
there,
this whole section probably will be edited out because I think we all know by the end of this conversation I will be doing the ultra. And
Yeah, but I think it's important because everyone, if someone's going to be watching this to get Tom's knowledge, they will have gone through the doubts that you're going through.
Yeah,
we wanted to cancel the Hamilton, and that's a half. No, we shouldn't have. No,
but I think it's
It's giving you a bit of context as to what you're up against.
So I think the thing that it is I realised it's 7 months away.
Yeah.
Which is nothing, is it?
Which means I've got to think about actually upping my training.
Starting to knuckle down time.
So what would, as well, in case anyone's watching that isn't, well, like me, so if I wanted in 7 months' time to do a 53-kilometre race, what level of training am I looking at to go from a basic runner?
Well, not being a coach, I can't give you an official.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's all just my opinion and my experience. I don't go in for too much of the way of exact training plans. I can't remember who said it. I believe it was an Olympic coach said that when you're training hard for something in the future, it should be about thirds. So, third of the time you should feel great, third of the time you should feel okay, and a third of the time you should feel shit. And if you're not training hard enough, it's one way. If you're training too hard, it's another way. And I like that because it keeps it very open for general life, because some days you'll have harder days and not have it in you to go do 10K of intervals or something. And yeah,
So would you personally? And I really appreciate you're not a coach, but would you take 2 or 3 weeks off, 6 months away from training from a race?
I don't think I've taken 2 weeks solidly off in 3.5 years, other than when I've been injured.
So you need to be hitting tarmac.
No, I need to be hitting trails.
Yeah.
We need to find hills in Exeter. That's the problem.
So there is. I am going to say a quote because it fits
Here
beautifully.
we
I
go.
like my
Here we
quotes.
go.
The magic you want to see is in the hard work you're avoiding. That's true. You're avoiding the hard work.
That's where you just got to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Oh, we are throwing
fucking
out.
love that's my favourite. That's one of my channel slogans. That
So, what should I expect from this ultra?
Hills, views, friendly people, great vibes, great course, and a bit of pain and suffering.
what's the organisation like? Because and because we found on the Hamilton it wasn't and you've done more of these.
Yeah. So
There wasn't a great deal.
we sort of rocked up, signed in, left our own devices until the start. Got told it was going to be wet and windy, which we knew because it was
We were
wet and
there.
windy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the
and
Weatherstone
then
with you.
and then it was like one or two people at a rest stop with
And they were enthusiastic, but
yeah. So it's a Maverick. Is it Maverick Race?
Maverick
team?
Race, yeah.
And you're a are you a leader of something?
I'm just a volunteer, but
Right.
I lead the Purbeck hub of Maverick Run Project, which
Okay.
is a free social trail running community set up by Maverick Race. And yeah, it's just to give back.
So how many people have you got in your Purbeck team?
So there's me and my good friend JV. We lead the Purbeck group, and then there's a North Dorset and a Poole based group within that,
Okay.
and they have a couple of leaders each, and then I think across the three groups probably got sort of 200-300 members that come
Nice.
to one of 4 weekly events.
So we'll put the details below in the description, and people can find it. And if they're in the local area to you, come along and join.
always
We
welcome.
might. Well, I say we might come up. I haven't told Dom this yet, but I'm going to buy him a entry to a run.
yeah,
So we're going to come and do the
10K.
Maverick night run.
Oh,
The-
which one are you doing? There's a few.
And yeah, how far? How
the-
far are these?
We'll do the Corf one.
The Corf one, so
Yeah.
Corf
that'd be,
Castle.
5, 10, or 15k, something around there.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
We'll do the 15.
Yeah. So we're going to come up and
You
do
got
that.
plenty of time to train for it, Dom. It's not till November.
Yeah.
But
I wing everything.
Yeah.
I will do just enough to get through, and I get so excited about things, Tom, that even if I haven't quite trained enough, the excitement of the day gets me through. That's
Yeah.
how I roll through life.
yeah, that's it.
Apologies. So the Maverick Race team, the company, they put on races. Is it all over the country?
Yeah, all over the country. There's some in Wales now. Yeah, Lake District, Peak District.
Nothing down Devon way.
They
do Exmoor. Do they do Exmoor?
So Exmoor's at the beginning of May, the first May bank holiday weekend. There's a X Series event.
Are you going?
Yes, I'm running the 50k.
How long does it take you to do a 50k?
It all depends on elevation, conditions, terrain. Yeah, I've done 50Ks in sort of 5-6 hours, and then others like Ultra Trail Snowdon last year took me about 12 hours.
Is that up Penny-Roll Wen and Gwyneth, Daffyd Gwyneth for?
So the course is for Ultra Trail Snowdon 50 that I did was, I believe it's up the Llanberis path, down the Pig, around to the Watkins and down the Miners, and then up a couple of the other mountains, which their names.
I very well may have passed you because I was there the day all the little flags were there, and I was seeing people running by. Do you remember I did that little video saying, "Go on, there's a little Chinese man," and he was done. And I was like, "Come on, you've got this, you've got this," and he was like, "Yes, yes, I have, yes, I have." And then off camera, I said, "How?" He was doing the 100, with his ski poles, Yeah, God, those people, they looked half dead. They had a lovely day for it though, but it would have been a bit too warm for me.
It was very warm. It's I think I'd been up 5 weeks earlier to recce some of the route with my good friend David, and at the top of Snowdon that day it was -20,
Wow.
and 5 weeks later on the race, at which point I saw another good friend of mine, Ali, who saved me with water because I hadn't loaded enough, and I probably would have made it to the next aid station a bit worse for wear, and maybe not completed the race if I hadn't seen him at the top. And he told me it was 28 degrees. So
Yeah,
swing of nearly 50 degrees in 5 weeks.
Mm.
that's the mountains for you. You
Yeah.
just never know. Can I ask about calm? Because I think that's a really important thing. So, calm is the campaign against living miserably. How
Yeah.
does that weave into your running and what you do?
So, Campaign Against Living Miserably is a charity that is a suicide prevention helpline that Attain run caps, who I help out with wherever I can and support by buying lots of hats. Is Attain's all non for profit, and every penny made goes directly to supporting Calm. So every hat purchased could save a life potentially.
Because it's at epidemic levels at the moment, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like. You're in Dorset, aren't you? Yeah, we have like a news channel that's, I think it's mainly Facebook, isn't it? Called Devon Live, and it seems every week there's 2 or 3 young men that have taken themselves off and
Yeah.
self-terminated. And I work in the boxing community, and almost every show. I mean, the next show is another one that's going to be heavily talked about. One of the boxing community that's recently passed away through those means, and I'm 47 years old. I've never seen anything like it. It's all over the place all the time. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's epic proportions.
Mm.
Um, it's not much, but anything I can do to support
Yeah.
Calm, which is a great charity, is a good thing to do.
And what's so Attain is a separate company.
Attain is a non-for-profit run cap company that um,
Which is what you're wearing now.
which is what I'm wearing now,
Yeah.
and usually wearing it because my hair just doesn't ever behave itself. So I just
That's why I've got my hat on. So
yeah.
okay. Thanks for sharing that, Tom. It's so you're like an ambassador row, is it? Or
Yeah, so I think it's a little over 2 years been a brand ambassador, and
What drew you to them? What
um,
drew you to that cause?
so I met with the owner Mike through my good friend David Rogers, who is also sort of my mentor of mountain running, and yeah, got talking and yeah, just sort of chatting about it and sort of discussing ideas and being a soundboard more than anything for Mike's ideas with the brand and designing caps, etc.
nice.
Ideal. Yeah.
So what's your 2025 plans? What's your big race? Have you got one booked in?
Yeah, so I was very fortunate to get through the ballot for UTMB, OCC. You,
It's massive because did you done the Cornwall one earlier this year?
yeah, so I did the Arc of Attrition in January. I
Yeah.
did the 40k race.
Sorry, when's the race?
August, end of August.
End of August. Okay.
So it'd be
Nice.
a fleeting visit to Chamonix, there and back for the race. Just so I'm back in time for my daughter's second birthday.
Oh, how close is it to?
Um, I think it's about. I'll be back sort of 2 days
Oh, okay.
before, but I won't be out in Chamonix for the big UTMB race,
Yeah.
as I'm only doing the OCC, the 50k.
And so for me, the half marathon Hamilton was like my big race of the year. For someone that runs at your level, what would be your, do you know what? Stuff it. I'm going to do this to really push myself. What would be your version of what I've done for me as a non-runner?
Well, it wasn't too long ago that a half marathon would have been my sort of big race of the year. We're only talking a couple of years ago. After my first ultra, which was Maverick Race's Peak District
Yeah.
race. Sat down on the finish line. Somebody passed me a beer, and I had a cigarette. And said, "I'm never doing an ultra again. That's it."
So you hit the finish line. Someone passed you a beer.
Yeah. And I scrounged the roll up off me mate. And
Oh, brilliant! You don't still smoke, do you?
no, and I don't think I had been smoking for about 2 or 3 years at that point, and yeah, it blew my head off.
It's absolute
Said I'll never
adrenaline and
run.
nicotine rush at the same time.
Yeah, I said I'll never do that again. And I think it was about 3 or 4 days later I booked Ultra Trail Snowdonia. So yeah, doubled down.
You say you were out there for like 12 hours.
So
That time.
UTS, I was out there for 12 hours.
Yeah. How did you stay mentally strong for that long?
I guess
That's
I've
a very
just
personal question, isn't it?
never really considered giving up. I'm very stubborn.
Is it just your stubbornness of I'm
Yeah,
not going to fail this?
yeah. I think sort of my first marathon being in memory of my dad, that sort of kept me going. And then deciding I wanted to do an ultra after that was didn't want to sort of tell people that I'd failed. I then my daughter come along, and first ultra that she was at the finish line for.
There you go.
Kept
That's
going.
what I'm doing. Becky, get in the car. Bring Daisy. We'll sit at the end of the that Dorset one.
Yeah, not ashamed to say I'm totally motivated by a good medal as well. So
Yeah. Are the Maverick medals good?
yeah, very good quality.
That's right then.
Have you got one?
Yeah, you got one from last year.
Yeah, I've got about
And do
30.
they change every year?
He's not gonna find it.
Yeah,
You've seen how many he's got. He's
Yeah,
not gonna
no,
find it.
Ching-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling.
yes,
Cool.
they're good
So would
quality,
you?
nice thick metal, engraved.
I'll find out in October, won't I?
Yeah, exactly. When you
Yeah.
cross the finish line.
Yeah, I'll find out. I can look at yours. So would you
not bailing?
Yeah, I know. Would you consider a multi-day race, or do you like to get it done in a day? And
The thoughts cross my mind, but I'm usually in tatters the next day. And no way I could consider sort of doing another ultra marathon the next day or anything. Never say never, but
What shoes do you wear? What's your go-to pair?
so I run in the original Adidas Terex Speed Ultras. Because I have glass ankles and need something with very low stack. So I roll my ankles quite regularly, and the bigger the stack of the shoe, the more cushioning, but also the more you can compound a ankle injury. I like running in Terex. Somebody else will prefer Hoka.
It's the same with hiking
So
boots. You can.
yeah, it's
I
also
found the perfect hiking boot for me. Other people are like hate them.
yeah. A lot of people didn't like the shoe that I absolutely fell in love with, and unfortunately for me, Adidas stopped making it, and I comb the internet and hoover up any stock.
How many pairs have you got in a cupboard?
Got about 8 worn out in the loft.
Yeah.
I've got 3 in rotation in varying degrees of decay, and 4 in stock ready for action.
I totally get that. My go-to tent is the Berghaus Peak 3.1, and they don't make it anymore. So I've got an alert set on Gumtree, Facebook Marketplace, and eBay. And I've got 9 in 2 drawers out there.
You want to add Vinted to that? That's where I've got all mine.
Yeah,
That's where he got his running
That's where I
shoes
got my
from.
running. I didn't think about tents on Vinted.
You've just opened up a wormhole for
Yeah,
years going to be diving deep into it.
yeah, I didn't think of that.
Tom, thank you for coming on and giving us your time. I do have one more question. You're not a running coach, I get this, but I want your expert advice. Should I start training my stomach with certain gels?
Not necessarily even gels. Whatever you're comfortable eating is, as long as you're getting something around 90 to 120 grams of carb an hour into you.
Okay.
It's just straight off the bat is quite difficult, but
Yeah.
you sort of build up a tolerance for it. Yeah, just
Do you know how many calories you burn on an ultra?
I think in the Lake District, somebody asked me that when I did an ultra there, and I looked at my Strava, and according to that, I think it was like 6,500, 7,000
Well,
calories.
that's going to be a fairly accurate ballpark figure, isn't it?
It'd be something around there, I would have thought. Yeah.
God, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I'd never even thought of that.
Thank you for coming on, Tom.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks ever so much. It was really
and-
good insight.
And I will see you in October.